Hello, and thank you so much for joining us for our on your screens today. My name is Sabrina Raber, and this is Ben Haimann, and we are absolutely thrilled to have the opportunity to play live music again for the first time in almost a year. We have put together a program of both chamber and solo works, each meant to showcase a different musical style and era, and showcase the different timbres and techniques of our instruments.
Our first piece is going to be Kembang Suling by Gareth Farr. Kembang Suling is a 3-movement work for flute and marimba by New Zealand composer Gareth Farr. And it's heavily influenced by Indonesian gamelan music. In the first movement, the flute and marimba begin as one sound and slowly drift apart, with the flute asserting its independence. The second movement is inspired by the haunting sounds of the Japanese shakuhachi. And the third and final movement is a race to see who can outplay the other, the marimba playing an ostinato and the flute playing cross-rhythmic figures over the top. We hope you enjoy Kembang Suling by Gareth Farr.
The next piece in our program is a solo flute work entitled A Night Piece by Arthur Foote. He remains one of the most highly regarded American composers of his or any era, with a significant body of chamber music to his name. A Night Piece, originally for flute and strings, dates from 1918. It was originally the first movement of Foote's Nocturne and Scherzo, and revised for string orchestra in 1922. The piece is essentially a late romantic fantasy with a French accent, alternating sections in which the flute leads and those for only the strings alone. After its premiere, a critic wrote that A Night Piece sounded fresh and spontaneous, plentiful in melody and colored with beauty. Our rendition today will involve the piano rather than a string quartet. But before we play, I'd like to thank pianist David Hein for his wonderful collaborative work and sensitive playing. Please enjoy A Night Piece.
Thank you, Sabrina and David. Those of you at home, my name is Neil Bubke, and I'm the music director here at the United Methodist Church of Whitefish Bay. At my feet is my faithful companion, May Mobley. She wants a camera shot, I guess, because she got a haircut this week. I would like to spend just a little bit of time talking to Ben and Sabrina because they both have very interesting career paths. Just to start off, would each of you mind sharing where you went to college and what type of music you majored in?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and begin first. So I did my undergraduate degree at Ohio State University, where I received my bachelor's in music and music performance. And I found a real passion for arts administrative work and working with, especially with under-resourced populations while I was in school there. And then so I went on to do my master's at the University of South Carolina, where I was actually the first to receive my master's in music and community partnerships. So working to build stronger partnerships within the community through music. And another cool thing, I completed a one-year postgraduate program as well, where I did an executive certificate in social impact through music through the Global Leaders Program. So, yeah.
That's pretty impressive. I also went to Ohio State, where I got my bachelor's in music education and percussion performance. Took a couple years off to teach and work up there, and then I went down to the University of South Carolina and got my master's degree in percussion performance. And that was actually where we both got to, in her second year, my first year at USC, play in a community engagement graduate quintet called the Spark Collective, where we played in prisons, played at children's hospitals, libraries, yeah, you name it, we played there. Breweries, it was great.
How long did it take you to get your marimba through the metal detector at the prison? Just kidding.
Luckily, I didn't take it.
Aha.
I took my sticks. That was it.
So, Sabrina, has your work serving underprivileged communities been mostly in the United States, or have you done anything abroad?
It's almost like you're setting up these questions. So while my focus, and especially with my work right now, while my focus is working with local communities, and especially with my really close to the microphone, thank you, with the Milwaukee community, especially last year, I said I did that executive graduate certificate in social impact through music. I actually was able to travel to Chile and actually worked with some of the populations there. I was a guest artist for a flute festival, so some pretty cool experiences there as well.
When COVID is finished, do you have any aspirations to go to any other countries in particular?
Oh, well, I'm an avid traveler, of course, but I think that there's so much to learn about other communities, especially the musical cultures of other communities. Like, for example, I can't speak for the entire culture of Chile, just being there for a couple of weeks, but it's a country that really values music and really cherishes even just musical performances in the subway, on the streets, and so it's really nice to kind of get new perspective and learn new ideas. And so my postgrad program was an international program, so luckily I have friends from all over the world now that I hopefully, if anyone are watching this, will be able to go visit their respective countries and work with their populations as well.
Ben, you mentioned that you also have a degree in performance and education. I'm wondering, what's it like right now, and what was it like before the pandemic to be both a music teacher and a performer?
Yeah, the work-life balance of that is definitely challenging. I would say more challenging now that we're not in school anymore. When you're in school, it's like, do your work. Don't have work? Go practice, try and get better. Now it's like, okay, I gotta teach, I gotta go do this other thing. I have 30 minutes to practice maybe, but that was one of the things that my professor, all in undergrad and even in my grad school, graduate degree as well, they always stressed, like, do the hard work now so that when you're preparing, when you're a professional and you're out playing, you're not in school anymore, you don't have to spend hours and hours every single day. You can kind of tune things up here and there. So I definitely learned those skills and honed those skills in my undergrad and my graduate degree.
I read in your bio, Sabrina, that you had some experience playing as a soloist with an orchestra. Would you tell us just a little bit about that? and what it was like.
Yeah, and it's actually, we can both actually speak to that. My last year of my master's degree and his first year of his master's degree, we were both winners of the University of South Carolina concerto competition. So I performed the Griffiths poem with the orchestra, and Ben performed the Kevin Putt's Marimba Concerto. So it was, at that part, it was very fun to be able to kind of be a part of each other's rehearsals and be an extra ear for each other in a way that I feel like a lot of, say, duos are unable to be able to work with. But I mean, it is a very special experience to know that the ensemble behind you like completely supports you, and to feel like you can just, like, all the work that you've done to that point really allows you to shine past that. So in that, it's definitely one of the top experiences of my career, and just being able to be that soloist. And it was definitely, for me, a great way to kind of cap off 6 years of music training. So, but do you want to say anything to that?
The only thing I would add is it was a really special experience for me because I'm not going to speak for you, I don't really consider myself a soloist first. I consider myself a chamber musician first. And so it was kind of hard. It took a little time to put myself in the shoes of, okay, you're the soloist, you've got to be up there and have that solo performance. But it was definitely a performance that I will carry with me for the rest of my life, for sure.
Well, I know everybody at home is eager to hear you play more, but I do have one more question. Speaking of chamber music, a pianist from the Beaux-Arts Trio is famous for saying that chamber music in a competition setting, where you're just thrown in a room with a string quartet and the piano, and you have 2 hours to rehearse, and then you have to perform before a jury of judges, is sort of like a wild love affair. And that chamber music is really intended to be a marriage, where you have a long time to get to know one another, and to sort of just have that sixth sense of what the other person is doing. And I have to say, during that first piece you played, which is incredibly rhythmic and colorful, I got the sense that you guys are more marriage material than love affair material. All right, stay tuned. What are we going to hear next, Sabrina?
I do have my program notes. I will say it is very helpful that Ben and I have been playing in our duo, I guess, for about 4 or 5 years now. We've been playing together, so you definitely learn the little ticks that each other has. And for me, it's making sure I'm staying on rhythm, and it's very helpful to use percussionists. So with that, our next piece today is going to be the Sonata in G major by Carl Philipp Emmanuel Bach. The second son of Johann Sebastian Bach, CPE Bach, is considered to be one of the greatest harpsichordists of all time. This piece, known affectionately as the Hamburger Sonata, was one of CPE Bach's most well-known flute sonatas. It was believed to have been written for King Frederick II, who was a flutist himself. The piece has 2 movements, the allegretto and the rondo. Oh, sorry, rondo presto, that's important. The first movement is elegant and fluid, much more song-like, and the second movement is much more dance-like. This performance will use the marimba instead of the more traditional cello as the basso continuo line. So with that, we hope you enjoy the Hamburger Sonata.
Alrighty. This next piece is going to be a solo marimba work called Caritas by Michael Burritt. Caritas is a 3-movement marimba solo by composer Michael Burritt. The first movement, entitled Mystic, uses fast double lateral movements that create a mysterious blurred effect while the melody pops out in the upper mallet. The second movement, entitled Solemn, utilizes a beautiful and calming chorale melody that returns at the end of the piece. The third and final movement, entitled Majestic, is a powerful and joyous dance-like movement that's the perfect conclusion to this piece. I hope you enjoy Caritas by Michael Burritt.
We have one more piece on the concert program tonight. While Sabrina and Ben are getting set up for that, I just want to thank you for coming, and I'd also like to invite you back next Friday for pianist Gregory Hartman, who will be playing Beethoven's Third Piano Concerto, not with orchestra, but with a string quartet. Gregory is getting his doctorate in piano performance in New York City, but is home in the Milwaukee metro area this year because of COVID. Some of you at home might be looking at the marimba that Ben's playing tonight and wondering, how in the world does this instrument work? Ben, before you guys close, if you wouldn't mind just giving us a little bit of insight into this instrument.
Sure. So this is the marimba, or as some people like to call it, the large xylophone. Same type of instrument. They're both keyboard instruments. The xylophone's obviously much smaller, much higher pitched. The marimba really came into prominence. There were marimba bands back in the mid-1900s, but first solo performance around the mid-1940s. And that was for a much smaller instrument that was only about down to here. And then over time, they expanded the range all the way down to a low C. So this is a C to C 5-octave marimba. There are bars on top that you strike with mallets. And then you see these awesome tubes down here, right? These are called the resonators. And they allow for sound to come through. And so I don't know if I can do this with both hands. But anyways, if somebody were to cover up one of these, let's try this. Without those, the instrument is kind of just a bunch of pieces of wood you hit with sticks, right? So yeah, this is a pretty special instrument that I was fortunate enough to purchase with the help of my parents. Actually during COVID, the brand Malatech ran a little sale almost to try to get instruments to people. And I was leaving school. I had my own student model marimba, but I didn't have a professional level marimba like this. And so we decided we're going to do it, and I'm glad that we did because it allows me to come out, and when you're not in school, you don't have instruments, it allows me to come out and do stuff like this when I have my own. So.
Well, thank you for all of the effort it takes to transport this instrument.
That's why I play it. I told David, I was like, it took me a half an hour to put it together when we rehearsed. He was like, oh, just a half an hour? Okay.
And all this time, I thought harpists had it bad.
At least their instrument stays together.
Would either of you like to introduce the final piece?
Okay. So the composer of our final piece, Peyton Mcdonald, is a founding member of New Music Chamber Orchestra Alarm Will Sound. His music draws upon his extensive experience with East Indian table drumming and Drupad singing, jazz, European classical music, and the American experimental tradition. Devil Dance is a short and light encore piece containing elements of Hindustani classical music. Written for flute and hand drum, in this case it's a djembe, a large section of the drum part is improvised, including improvisation on slap, bass, and palm tones. During the piece, I will also both sing and play, so look out for that, to create a colorful buzzing sound. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for listening to our live stream performance today, and we hope to see you, hopefully in a larger capacity again soon. Without further ado, here is Double Dance.
Thanks again for joining us tonight. Before we depart, I'd also like to thank our sound technicians and video technician, Mary Paul on camera and Tim Carth on sound. Let's give a hand to the booth. We hope to see many of you in worship Sunday morning at 9 and 10:30 a.m. Otherwise, join us again next Friday at 7 o'clock.